What was in the end what really just made you decide to just branch out on your own?
I sort of created Pinwheel as a counterpoint to the big agency model. And the thing that I didn't love about the big agency model was that, they work people to death.
Your marketing philosophy and your creative style and leadership, do you feel that's evolved in a certain way?
I never stopped evolving. A good example of that is the advent of AI, and engaging with that has really helped me kind of evolve my approach to it. But other things like what it takes to be creative, what it takes to come up with good ideas, these are foundational things.
How are you guys leveraging AI in your day-to-day?
What we've done is custom GPTs for brand voice GPTs.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in. My name is Andres Figueira and I'm going to be your host for the day. This show is brought to you by the Global Talent Company, helping fast-growing teams hire exceptional remote talent from Argentina, South Africa, and beyond. We connect companies with world-class professionals who bring skill, reliability, and a global perspective to every role. And just for our listeners today, we're offering an exclusive 10% discount on your first hire. All you need to do is visit globaltalent.co, click Start Hiring, and mention the podcast listener discount when we reach out. And today, with me here, I am speaking with Todd Anthony, Executive Creative Director and founder of Pinwheel Content Incorporated, a creative agency populated with senior-level talent that creates powerfully persuasive marketing. And with that said, Todd, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Andres, good to talk with you. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. No problem at all. And Todd, just so that we can hit the ground running and give the audience a bit more context as to who you are, would you be able to give us a bit more about your background, what Pinwheel Content Inc. is in your own words, and just how you got here, man?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the son of a trial lawyer and a psychologist. So it was, I guess, if you think about it, it was actually kind of a natural that I would wind up in marketing. Growing up, reading my dad's depositions and working in his law firm, and then, talking with my mom, who was a trained psychologist, just trying to understand me as a teenager. So that's kind of where I come from. I got my start in advertising in Prague, Czech Republic. I'd been selling phone books, business phone books door to door, in the former Czechoslovakia and in Prague. And I heard about an opportunity at an agency called McCann Erickson, which is a global agency working on Coke and Johnson & Johnson and Gillette and a few others. And so I went for it, and I got the gig and was there for about a year and a half, and actually wound up coming back to the United States and then going back to Prague and working at an agency called DMB&B. I started out in the on the account side. What I loved about the account side in Europe was that it was really heavily about strategy, and I love strategy. When I came to the United States and tried to do that job, I went to work for McCann Erickson San Francisco. It became more about project management and just sort of pushing paper and getting things done, which was not really my strong suit. So I switched over to the creative side. I went to the Portfolio Center in Atlanta to put my copywriter portfolio together, and then went to work at J. Walter Thompson, and went to work at Young & Rubicam, went to work at Ogilvy and Mather, and then I went to the client side working at Yahoo and CBS. I was a creative director at CBS before I launched the agency.
Wow, like you've been around. That's a bunch of places where you gained experience in order to then create your own thing. And in what year did you end up actually creating Pinwheel?
It was 2014.
Okay, so that's already 12, 11 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
And then after gaining so much experience in all these different companies and seeing how things worked all around, What was in the end what really just made you decide to just branch out on your own?
I sort of created Pinwheel as a counterpoint to the big agency model. And the thing that I didn't love about the big agency model was that they often, they work people to death. They put, young people on the business. They charge out like 3x, literally this is the number, 3x what they're paying their people. And they're just working them to death. And so that's the model. And that's how they make money. And I didn't love that. They also had a tendency to like bring in the big guns for the pitch meetings and then replace them with juniors the second they get the business. So
Okay.
clients often complain about the bait and switch there, and I don't love that. So Pinwheel is a counterpoint to that, in that we are all senior level people. We all we're running the agency not to become millionaires. That's not why we're doing it. We're doing it because we enjoy the work. It's fun. I love working with clients on their projects. And so that's why we focused on having, senior level people only to do the work. And the other benefit to that was that I found out very early on is that I don't have to babysit them, which meant that I could scale. It really helped me scale, not having to be so focused on bringing, ensuring that the quality was where it needed to be. I could sort of just trust that this person's been doing it for 20 years. They're at the top of their game. We've hired some amazing people to do work. It's very fun to be able to hire people that are, better than you.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And I was actually going to ask if it was if the hiring process for finding senior level people that match the requirements of what you're mentioning, if it's harder to find that type of profile around or when you're doing interviews, or if it is actually easier because you already trust that they do have the experience that you need.
My network is full of people who are senior level. In fact, if somebody came to me and said, "Do you know any good junior level like copywriters?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I like everybody I know is kind of senior level." So it's all been on LinkedIn. It's research. I love research. So I consider myself sort of a unicorn hunter. I look for the perfect people, and I often tend to find them, and it works out.
And do you have any certain process for doing that, or do you just trust your gut and what you have in your own circle of known people?
Well, certainly if we're hiring creative talent, I'm looking at examples of their work. And I'm, after 30 years of doing this, I'm very good at being able to tell if somebody knows what they're doing or not. And if they're good, if they're creative, if they're exploratory, if they're willing to kind of go out there and really take some risks, things like that. And if they're, talented writers, you can just sort of tell right away.
And how big is the team that you have helping you out, Todd? Like with this senior level, what's it called? Like exclusivity, I want to say, for the company, since you want everybody to have the highest level they can have. How many people do you have helping you out with Pinwheel?
So we're 6 full-timers now, and we have about a cadre anywhere between 25 and 35 contract employees at any given time. A lot of those people are people we've worked with forever. And then some of them are new, and some of them are, people who come in and go out and then come back in.
And is the majority of your workforce located inside the United States, or have you outsourced to different places due to, I don't know, to help you out with time zones or with maybe pricing of how much you need to pay them or anything like that?
I had some experience trying to outsource to save money when I was at CBS as a creative director, and I think we tried a little bit of South America and things like that, and I just found that the quality and the disconnect, the quality was low, and the disconnect was just hard to overcome. And it's great if you have something that's essentially like a machine that you're like a production machine, like that's
Okay.
great. But if it's something that requires, a knowledge of the client or that requires, and most things do, frankly, require knowledge of the client. So I don't do that. And I know a lot of agencies do that, and maybe they've found a way to do it that works well. The other thing is that, yeah, there's a lot of people that work for Pinwheel that are outside the United States. We have an amazing health writer in Scotland. We have an amazing finance writer in Berlin. We've got a designer that works she's traveling around the world, but she's mostly in Asia.
So
So
cool. Okay.
yeah. So and that has helped us. The time zone shifts have helped us get work done faster because we have people working while we're sleeping.
Okay. No, that's amazing. And that is also very nice that you're able to follow the sun with the company. So that way when somebody clocks off, then somebody's clocking in and it's always everything is attended properly. So I totally get that. And Todd, now shifting to another point of this conversation, how have you felt by leading a creative agency with what you've learned before in your previous agency life and other places and with the client side roles? Like, have you extrapolated your learnings from there in order to lead Pinwheel content appropriately, or have you felt that you've learned more like on the go once you decided to branch out?
I mean, there are certainly a lot of theories that I had coming into it, based on the experience that I had. And, some of my previous experiences before at being at Pinwheel is not only leading creative teams, but also managing client relationship or agency relationships. So I had some experience sort of being on the other side of it. And so I had some theories there, but honestly, like when I first started, there were a lot of unknowns and a lot of things that I was learning as I went, finance related things, how to scale, seamlessly. My first hire was a bookkeeper.
Okay.
I highly recommend to anybody starting an agency, start with the money and go from there. And then the second person I hired was a designer that I'd worked with previously, and I knew he was awesome. Now he's our head of design. And then the third person was somebody who is just amazing at project management, and that she has really helped us to scale, and yeah, sort of grow exponentially. But there were a lot of things I didn't know. I had coaches along the way. I had when I first started, I had a business coach that my parents paid for. It was like $1,200 for 8 sessions or something back in the day, and he was hugely helpful. One of the things he said to me was, treat your bank account like your girlfriend. If you stop paying attention to it, it might go away.
I like that lesson.
Yeah. The other thing he said to me was, have lots of coffees with people and lunches with people. Like that's super important as you're building an agency. You just getting yourself out there. So I did that, and he was right. And then I had a growth coach out of New York who had run her own agency up to 100 people. So she had a lot of wisdom to impart on me, and she was not shy about sharing that with me. It was sort of a tough love sort of relationship. And I learned a ton from Kelly Campbell. And then I had another business coach who helped me with a pivot that we made as an agency.
That's amazing. And I do understand so much the value of having different mentors at different stages of your growth journey, because that is the best way you'll always make mistakes, but to learn from the mistakes that others made and then being able to transmit those lessons, it has a lot of value. So that is super cool that you were able to obtain that wisdom from these different characters. And Todd, also, another question I have is, do you feel that since Pinwheel started up until today, then your marketing philosophy and your creative style and leadership, do you feel that's evolved in a certain way or in how you're working now? Or have you had what's it called? Like the same perspective of how to do things and those things are actually working?
It's a combination. So I would say that in some ways I have evolved, and I never stopped evolving. I was just like a constant evolution. Everything I'm doing, I'm learning from and sort of growing. And that, a good example of that is, the advent of AI and just how, engaging with that has really helped me kind of evolve my approach to it. But other things like, what it takes to be creative, what it takes to come up with good ideas, these are foundational things. The human mind hasn't changed. It's still the same technology. And so different things work for different people, but I know it works for me. And I know what works broadly speaking, giving people time to explore the universe of ideas, because there are millions of them, that would be perfectly fine as a fit for every single project. So, or what I mean by that is that there are plenty of ideas in the world that are appropriate at any given time for any given project. And so being able to explore all those different ideas is important so that that you're getting the strongest ones. My buddy David Swope, who's just a great creative, he's a video guy out of the Bay Area. His analogy is, you got to wander as a cow. You have to wander beyond the barn to go out into the barn. The area right outside the barn is like all the ideas that anybody would have, and they're just like first ideas, simple ideas. You got to wander beyond that to be able to find the sweetgrass where the great ideas are.
All the analogies you're telling us today are amazing, from the bank account girlfriend to the ideas from the barn. I love that. Okay, I'll take some of those lessons with me as well, because I do feel that is very true, and you got to think as it's also known as outside of the box. So
outside of the box, I guess those two analogies are compatible for sure.
And Todd, in terms of the clients you handle through the agency, about how many clients are you handling in a monthly basis, or do you just have one or two that you're currently working with and then you move on? But how does that work then for you guys?
We have a lot of very long-standing relationships with enterprise clients. We do really well with enterprises. We kind of know how they work. I think that our experience, and there are others in the agency who work both client side and agency side, and the combination of those two experiences help us really understand how to partner with a client, and that has become particularly true for our enterprise clients. We just kind of know how they work.
So I'm feeling that you're going with the enterprise type clients then.
That's our primary focus. That's where we do really well.
Okay.
And we've really helped these clients go. We have Stripe as a client, Experian as a client, and we usually have about 8 at any given time.
Okay.
And many times these companies are with us for 5 to 10 years. I mean, we kind of don't know. Like Experian has been with us since almost the beginning, so I don't really know. Our clients stay with us for a long time.
And in terms of AI, Todd, that's something I always like to ask in these shows. And it's like, how are you guys leveraging AI in your day-to-day? Do you have any unique or peculiar ways to work with AI, rather than just like the normal ones like customer experience and just making mundane tasks faster and optimizing? But just wondering if you found a rare use case that we might not know of.
A rare use case. Well, I'm not sure I would want to share that with you and your audience, because it's a proprietary thing. But I will say that I have my the things about AI that I love and the things about AI that I really don't. I recently wrote an article about the folly of relying on AI to create your content, and I'm happy to share it with you. You can include it in the show notes or whatever. But it really has some flaws. One of the big ones is that it doesn't have. Did you study Freudian psychological theory?
I understand Freudian psychological theory. I do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it doesn't have an id, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have that experience level It doesn't have that personality, really.
Mhm.
It's a pattern noticing machine. It's a pattern repeating machine. That's what it does. So it doesn't have the ability to, first of all, go against the pattern, which is kind of like what marketing is all about, is like, if your competitor zigs, you zag, It's like, if all your competitors are doing this, maybe you should do that. But in general, like, are there any things that we're doing that are unique? I mean, yeah, I guess you could say what we've done is create these custom GPTs for clients that are brand voice GPTs. So
Okay.
we program the brand voice into this particular GPT, and then it essentially, you have to keep working with it because AI tends to drift.
Hmm.
But it's much better than just having 10,000 people at your company writing different things,
Randomly with different tone.
different ways, and different tones, and every company struggles with that, right?
What are your plans and what would you like to accomplish with Pinwheel now that we're in January of 2026? Well, practically February already. But for this year, what are your goals and your aspirations for what you want to do with Pinwheel?
Well, we are making a little bit of a shift in the agency, just sort of taking cues from the marketplace, and we're niching down a little bit. So what we've decided to do was to be more, helping companies that deal with a lot of complexity, because that is something that we're really good at. We have worked with a lot of companies that have very complicated offerings. They have multiple audiences. They have compliance, issues that are hard to market around sometimes, and lots of technological intricacies that you need to understand in order to like really sell what they're doing. So that's something that we've done consistently, because we're in the Bay Area, and a lot of the companies out here are cloud-based SaaS.
No, and I imagine that marketing that type of company to like the regular audience, or maybe an audience that isn't their main consumer, it drives a fine line between getting too techie and not explaining properly. So it's just like being able to explain it and not overwhelm the consumer or the audience too much.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that I think love to geek out on the complexity and really get into it and want to understand it like even better than the client understands it. Like that's just their jam. So in terms of like goals for the year, I mean, we have growth goals. We've been growing pretty steadily, like 20% a year, for pretty much since we started. I think COVID there was a little blip there, but other than that, so we're looking at, hopefully another 20% lift in the growth of the agency. We'd love to bring more people in, and the bigger we get, the more fun it is, up to a point. Because I think that once you get to like 25 people, potentially it's can be kind of a headache, I think, for.
Yeah, no, you got to have more processes put in place in order to like manage and be able to properly control so many working parts inside the company. Because I understand that if you started out and it was just you at the beginning, and then you started bringing senior level employees, it must have been like, I feel it must have been a lot easier at the beginning. It's when you start bringing new people that aren't as experienced and that may make mistakes that you need to actually just be on top of them, that I know it's something that you're not that into right now. You would just prefer to have it rolling on by itself.
I'll gladly make less money if I don't have to like pull my hair out,
I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
Peace of mind is invaluable.
It is. It is. I mean, I'm at the stage of life where I want to enjoy my life, I'm not gonna, as hard as I do work, I'm not gonna kill myself to try to be successful at this juncture.
In order to delegate also, it's like you need to be certain and you need to be able to trust that the people you're delegating to will take care of it so that you can actually get your head off of work and enjoy the life that you have. And Todd, I'm noticing that we're almost at time, but before I do close out the episode, I wanted to give you the chance to let anybody in the audience who's listening to us, if they're a company or somebody that is looking for an agency to help them out, how could a person go about finding out if Pinwheel content is a good fit for them? How could they contact you guys to maybe schedule a call or see if it might be a good working relationship?
Yeah, I mean, my email is todd@pinwheelagency.com. So you can reach out to me, but our site is pinwheelagency.com, and feel free to come in and check us out. We are redoing the website, so it doesn't reflect exactly, like most agencies when they redo their website, it's like 9 months overdue. So we are changing that, and it doesn't exactly reflect who we're becoming, but come on in and check us out. Yeah.
Awesome. So if anybody is interested, you just heard it here first, pinwheelagency.com. And please don't pay attention to the website since it's a work in progress that is being remade. So just be patient with that aspect and reach out anyways, since I'm sure that you'll get a lot of value of at least one chat you may have, or many more if it turns into a long-lasting relationship. But with that said, Todd, thank you so much for hopping on the show with us, man. Really appreciate your openness, your insights, and for you telling us about all your experience. It is very interesting.
Yeah, it was fun, Andres. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. The pleasure has been all ours. And to anybody here in the audience still listening with us, thank you so much for also coming on these shows to learn about the different personalities that we talk to and all the different industries that we're learning about. So with that said, have a good one.